Hey guys, welcome back again to Rebuild Reality. I am your host, Guy Cheyenne, and I am so excited to finally be back here with you guys again. I have been in Macau for a while, and for whatever reason, I could not upload to YouTube from there. So I am back in Hong Kong right now. So yay, I can finally get out all these things that I've been so wanting to share with you guys. And I want to start today with this amazing SP success story, because this is the things that happened here you cannot explain away, that the mind cannot explain away. It is so obvious that my client went into another version of herself, went into another reality. So basically my client, she came to me about, I think almost a month and a half ago is when we first started talking. So she told me that she and her SP had been separated for almost a year and a half. And during that time, she said that she had tried, she's like, I've been to 4 other coaches. She's like, you are the last one. She's like, otherwise, she's like, I don't think I could take this anymore. Because one of the issues was she was having a lot of anxiety over it. So, but she had told me that during the relationship, it seemed like at first things were great, but then they started kind of drifting apart, because she said that he was always saying like that he wasn't 100% convinced that she really loved him, that she was really going to stay the course. And so she said, well, I felt like the more I was trying to show him that I did love him, to convince him that I wasn't going anywhere. She's like, it's like the more I tried to do that, the worse things got. So it eventually led to where they broke up, and she said they had this big argument together, and that, about how she wasn't there for him, and how, he didn't really believe that she loved him, and all of this stuff, and he ended up blocking her across all social media. So obviously she said she was heartbroken over it and had tried numerous things since then to try and get back together. She's like, I don't know what there is, in the world of manifestation that I haven't tried yet. She's like, I've tried holding on to it. I've tried letting it go. I've tried doing this. I've tried doing that. She's like, because I'm doing all these things to try and convince my mind that this is real, that what I'm saying is true, that reality creation is real, and that I'm somebody else, right? And she's like, so, but I don't know how to convince my mind of these things. And I know that I need to do that, to finally get past my mind, to convince it that these things are real, in order for my mind to finally accept these things as true. And I'm like, okay, well, I think right there is our issue, because you're not going to convince your mind and your senses that these things are real. And you're probably never going to convince them 100%, because they are just made for the 3D program. That's all they know. That's all that they know. And they're just repeating that little tape loop to you. So what's actually happening is that your mind is not reporting reality to you. Neither are your senses. If they were, then, as we know, time and space aren't real. But does your mind act like that's true? No. Your mind totally acts like time and space are real, when we know that time and space are not real. But your mind is like, I'm just going to pretend you never said that. For me, they're real. So it's telling you that they are real, but they are not. It is exactly the same thing with matter. There is no such thing as matter. And we've known this for a long time, a very long time. And as Einstein said, and I've quoted him a number of times just because he, said it like it is, even though there are many brilliant minds out there in the world of psychology, science, and quantum physics. But Einstein said, and this is like back in the 1950s, when it comes to matter, We have all been wrong. There is no such thing as matter. So you can test it, you can run it through its paces, and this is what experiment after experiment has proven, that there is no such thing as matter. But does your mind go by that information? No, your mind completely ignores that information. Your mind tells you that, oh yes, there is. Oh yes, there is time and space. Oh yes, there is matter. I can knock on this, and your senses are going to tell you that that's solid and real. So your senses and your mind are not telling you the truth. And reality in general, it's not real. And, we can say that in spirituality and the world of manifestation and all this stuff. And I know that you guys hear that all the time. But this is verifiably a fact. In fact, it's a Nobel Prize winning fact. Like I've mentioned a number of times, in 2022, 3 gentlemen won a Nobel Peace Prize for proving that objective reality, there's no such thing. Now, objective reality means that if you look at reality and you're testing it, you're actually observing it, it's not there. Now, subjectively, from your personal experience, your mind and your 3D senses tell you it's there, but they're just the plug-in for this experience. They're your avatar. They are your virtual reality suit. And all they will tell you is the same story of you, which is why we don't want to follow them. We don't want to look at them for proof. Has it happened yet? Looking under the covers, has it happened yet? Well, this hasn't happened yet, so forget it, right? Well, it all comes from here. They're telling you what comes from you, the story that you persist in about you. So we don't want to wait for our mind and our senses to first discover that, oh, I am back together with my SP. Oh, I do have a bunch of money after all. You have those things because you have absolutely everything, but they're not telling you that. So what we have here is basically a system of energy that is actually light, but we perceive it as energy. And that's just on a physical kind of level, because before that, there was not even light. There was not even energy. So, which is the truth of you, your true identity, is before all form, before all matter. So there is just this energy, just this light, and your senses pick up signals from this light, from this energy, and put it through your, comes through your senses, it goes to your brain, and your brain takes that information, and out of the trillions of bits of information, every single second, your mind takes a tiny little fraction of it, because your mind cannot process infinity, cannot process what is infinite information. So it takes a tiny bit of information and it tells the same story. It comes in and it's like, well, that doesn't fit your story. That doesn't fit the story of you. Neither does that. So we're going to completely ignore those things. Completely ignore that everything is here. Completely ignore that you are back with your SP. Completely ignore that you've got the house that you want. Completely ignore that you have the car that you want, the money that is in your bank, that when you look at it, we're not going to show that to you, because they're just going to keep repeating the story of you, which is why we're not putting our trust in them. We're not putting our faith in them. We're not looking at them to tell us the truth of reality, because they follow your mind, which is why we don't want them to be what is leading us in all of this. So basically what happens with people is that they are like, okay, I am this different version of myself, and they start doing, most people will do affirmations, techniques, scripting, whatever it is. And you can do those things if they make you feel good. But if they make you more aware that you do not have what you want, then don't do them. All you have to do is, when your mind is coming up and saying, oh, you're that same person with that same problem again, or this, you still don't have what you want. No, you're still that old person again, you still don't have what you want. Then you are correcting it in a casual, no. I do. I do have exactly what I want. Because it's going to keep saying, no, you don't. And you're going to keep saying, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And you're not freaking out. You're not pushing. You're not yelling. You're not screaming. You're not like, yes, I do. And don't you, we don't want to approach it in that way, because it is just, well, of course I do. I know that I do. I don't have to insist. I don't have to convince you. I already know it's a fact, because I am all things. And I understand that my mind and my senses are not telling me the truth of reality, because that's what this is all about. That's what the entire world of manifestation, reality creation is all about. About you finally coming to grips with the fact that your mind and your senses are not telling you the truth. So that's why we can't let them lead the way. That's why we have to keep correcting them. No, that's not true. And not letting them rule our reality. And, like I always say, I encourage people to look it up, that how your senses work. And you're going to see more and more information coming on board now that is like, yeah, we do not see reality. Look up, do my eyes see reality? Do we hear what's really there? Just one thing I looked up when I, was looking up just before doing this video. I was like, okay, do we see reality? And I came up with an article that said, the scientific proof that everything is energy and reality isn't real. Well, right there, it tells you. It's just the truth that we have to come to grips with once and for all. That if you want to really change everything for yourself, you have to finally accept that your imagination is the true reality. That's just the way it is. And you have to stop that no matter what happens, no matter how upsetting, how contradictory, 3D and your senses say that what you're doing isn't working, that you are still who you are, that you still don't have what you want. No. Because once you say that you're going to leave this version of you and go into this version of you, they are going to kick off. Oh boy, you need to be ready for that. They're going to be like, no. And you're going to be hit with a barrage of thoughts and feelings and, evidence. Evidence will show up. Oh, now your SP is with somebody else. Now your SP, why are they in a picture with their arm around somebody else, or whatever it is? Why do I only have $5 in the bank instead of 5 million? Well, those things are going to kick off and be like, no, your version's not true. It's still the same thing. This is because they're fighting. It's like fighting to keep that story alive, the story of you. It's like this kind of protective thing. No, we have to protect that personality, that version of you, that character of you. And it's like, no, you guys, I get that you are trying to kind of keep that story alive, but I am telling you, and I am persisting in telling you, because I know that in the end, I win, that things have changed, that I am not that person. So people get into this stuff and they do it for a while, and then something shows up in their 3D, and somebody says something, or they have thoughts and feelings against it, and they let that be proof that, it's not working. Well, you can't let that happen. You have to continue to lead the way, to be like, no, this is my reality, and my reality has changed. No, I am that person. I do have what I want. And then, through that persistence, and just kind of the casualness of it, just kind of from then on, just, yeah, I do have it. I'm not going to fight that thing anymore. I'm not going to worry about all that stuff anymore. I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy myself. And whenever that voice comes up, oh, no, you're not that person. Yeah, I am. You don't get to tell me anything, because I know that you're not telling me a truth of reality. So she and I had this whole discussion about that. And she's like, okay. She's like, I get what you're coming from, and it's true. She's like, I learned in school that, that there's no time and space, and I've heard you talk about how our senses, do not see reality. And she's like, I did look up some things, and you're right. And you're right that my mind is still telling me that none of those things are true. So, okay. She's like, I'm going to go back at this and just, with this new information, just kind of take it from here. So I didn't hear from her again for another 2 weeks. And then when she contacted me again, and we spoke, because she booked another session with me, she's like, I cannot even begin to tell you how much has changed since we last spoke. And I'm like, well, what's going on? She's like, well, first of all, she's like, he contacted me. She's like, after a year and a half, basically, he contacted me. He called me. And she's like, I was just like on the phone, like, she's like, I just was like holding, my phone, and like, just in shock, just in complete shock that he was calling me. And she said that one of the first things he said was, I'm really glad that you have unblocked me on social media. And he's like, that's why I called you. And she's like, I never unblocked him, because I never blocked him in the first place. I never blocked him. He was the one who blocked me, right? So here he is telling me that I'm really glad that you've unblocked me, and I thought that maybe you were open to talking, so, I just, in the moment, just decided to call you, and I was hoping that you would pick up the phone, and I'm really glad that you did, because, and she went on to talk about how he was telling her that, he had been trying to convince her during the relationship how much he loved her, how much he wanted to be with her, how much he wanted the relationship to work, but he felt like she was just growing farther and farther away from him, that he felt that she wasn't believing how much he loved her, and that he didn't know even what happened in the end and how they even broke up. And she's like, I was sitting there on the phone, like, just letting him talk, and I'm just like in shock. She's like, I don't even know what to say, because none of those things were true. I was the one trying to convince him that I loved him. He was the one that blocked me. But here he is telling me the story of me. So she said that she was just so blown away by the whole thing. And she said that 2 nights after that they ended up going out to dinner together. And she's like, the turnaround, the massive, complete turnaround in this has completely stunned me. she's like, I'm almost a little bit like, what's happening here? You know, because she's like, this is nothing like it was. And she told me that they are back together again, and that, you know, she's like, ever since this happened, because she said it happened about a week after we had last spoken, which was 2 weeks by the time she spoke to me again. And she's like, it's almost like the beginning, like they never broke up at all. And she's like, all these things that he's saying, all these things that he's doing, are all these things that were, like, in my mind, my perfect version. I'm like, okay, well then what did you do? She's like, I did what you told me to do. She's like, I finally sat with the understanding that my senses and my mind just flat out aren't telling me the truth of reality. That all versions of me exist, like you said, and that I can have anything I want. So she's like, my mind kept, you know, being like, no, you're the same version. And she's like, no, I am this person now. And she's like, I even started kind of dressing like that person. You know, she's like, I was thinking like that person. She's like, I was doing, you know, the whole occupying that reality. And so we had spoken about where a person could just kind of do it casually over time or intensely. And so she's like, I went for the total intensely thing. She's like probably most people would. She's like, I spent 3 days just soaking in that reality in my mind. She's like, I did it over a weekend, and she's like, and I took an extra day off of work in order to do it. And she's like, all I did that entire time was just like I was in a daydream. Like I was just in, like we were there together. Like I was talking to him and he was saying these things, and we were having dinner together, and we were driving in the car together, you know, even though he wasn't there and stuff. She's like, I just completely soaked myself in it. And she's like, I could feel like as I was doing it, that mind chatter, that anxiety and the opposition that I was getting from my mind was just fading away. And she's like, I woke up on the 3rd day of doing it, and she said it was almost kind of a shock to me that he wasn't there in bed next to me, you know? And then, of course, it was only about 3 or 4 days later that he actually contacted her. And she said that everything changed. But she's like, the biggest thing, not only that this happened, she's like, but was the way it happened. About how he was telling me that he had always loved me. That he had always been trying to prove it to me. That I was the one that blocked him. He was telling me the opposite story. She's like, you cannot convince me that this is the same person. She's like, it appears to be like him. She's like, it looks like him, it talks like him, it walks like him. She's like, but this is not the same person whatsoever. She's like, because he is now talking, he's throwing around already this word of marriage. Hasn't asked me to marry him. She's like, I don't know what to even say at this point, because I'm still such in shock over all this. She's like, but he's like talking about how, you know, he's always been the marrying kind, and about how that, you know, I'm that same kind of person, and about how we're the kind of people who've always believed in marriage. And she's like, he never, ever, ever believed in marriage. He always told me that he would never get married. That didn't work out for his parents. He didn't believe in marriage. And now he is completely the opposite. He is completely that person that I lived with for 3 days in my mind. And she's like I said, you can't convince me that it's the same person. And I'm like, well, because it's not the same person. I said, it's him, but it is a completely different version of him. Because what you have done is you have walked out of the movie theater of the old story, and you have walked into the movie theater of the new story. And you have actors who were playing those old roles of the two where a relationship didn't work out, where they had issues. Now you have those same actors who were playing a role, just a role, now who are not those roles at all. They're just completely different, like you as your true identity as the creator of all things. And now the two of you have gone into a new movie theater. You've gone into a new movie theater, and in that new movie theater, in the new story, there is him as the actor who has come in to play the new role, a different role. And this is what's happened. You have literally gone from one movie to another, and that's why it's still him, but he's not playing that role in this movie, and neither are you. You're playing the role of the one who's always been loved and adored, who this person wants to marry, looks at you in that way, a person who has the things that you want, because you're not in that old movie anymore, because you have told your senses and your mind, you may still be in that old movie theater, but I'm over here. And, when you're ready, this is the truth of reality, because I know that you're not telling me the truth of reality, and I understand that this is the true reality in my mind, in my imagination, because that's exactly what she did. She finally faced the fact that her senses were not telling her the truth of reality, that 3D does not tell you anything about reality. It just tells you a story. And when you go in your imagination, which is the true reality, and when you finally accept that that is the true reality, 3D and your senses are not the true reality. That's it. So she made the leap to that understanding that my mind, my imagination is the true and one reality. And whatever's happening out there is just a story that I can change. So I hope that information helps you guys to finally kind of sit with this stuff and to finally accept the fact that the story of you doesn't exist the way you think it does. Those memories that you think exist didn't happen the way that you think that they happened, because your mind is just telling you a story. Your senses are just telling you a story. They're telling you one story out of infinite stories. And you can have the story that you want when you finally accept that your imagination is the only true reality, and make it your dominant reality too. So anyway, it's been great to be back here with you guys again. Yay. And I've got so many more amazing success stories. I've had like so many of them building up and stuff here, as well as lots of other things I've been wanting to share with you guys. So I really look forward to being back here very, very soon with you, and sending you guys lots of love. And I look forward to seeing you here next time with me on Rebuild Reality.